Andy Walker, co-founder of Striker Digital here. We're going to talk all about AI tools, maybe specific to SEO, maybe specific to home service, blue collar business owners. But I saw something you said the other day. You're just the intermediary between AI agents right now. Tell us
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. So it's really interesting. So the way that I use AI is very specific, and I'll talk about like why, like in that tweet, I was like the medium between the two. But I'll talk about like I think the best way to use AI to actually get the most out of it and get like really dialed outputs from it. So the thing I will do is, and this will lead into kind of the full story, is I use Whisper Flow, which is like you just use a hotkey and you just talk and it transcribes perfectly. It does bullet points on its own, it has good grammar, mess up a couple times here and there, but the major point of that is like if you go into ChatGPT, you're not going to sit there and type 10 paragraphs. You're just going to be too lazy to do it. You're not going to do it, but you'll talk it, no problem. So I'll talk and give it as much like excruciating detail as possible. And then I'll say, please ask me 10 questions to get clarity or any concerns you have or any questions of like limited understanding. And I'll answer each of those 10 questions in detail. So I'll give it like 6 paragraphs. I'll have it ask me like 10 questions based off of that. And then my next prompt is huge because it might be like 3 paragraphs per question that I'm answering all of it. And then depending on what you want, if you want to, like a lot of times I'm creating a prompt to then give to another, like if I'm in Claude, I might be giving it to ChatGPT. So once it's done, I'll prompt it and say, write a mega prompt. Very key. The key word here is mega prompt, not just write a prompt, write a mega prompt in a canvas. I don't know if you use the canvas tool or not, but I don't know how to live without the canvas tool. And for those you don't know, if you tell ChatGPT to use a canvas, it'll just open a screen on the other side, which is kind of looks like a Google document, right? It's like just a page with text on it, but it'll load all the text in there. So then you can just chat on one side and then they'll make updates in the canvas on the other side, and you can click into it and edit it and do things like that as well. Especially, I know, Austin, you said you're creating SOPs. If you're not using Canvas in GPT to create those SOPs, you're missing out, because then you just like, it has to rewrite the whole prompt every time, or like the whole output every time, right? Instead, in the Canvas, it'll just go and make updates in the Canvas for you rather than rewriting the whole entire thing. And so to like get into like the idea of why I was the medium between two AIs is I fell deep into a rabbit hole with a Replit. Do you know what Replit is, or have you used it at all?
Oh yeah, like some of my favorite stuff to watch is Greg Eisenberg's stuff.
Yeah. So that guy's big on all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, I set aside a day like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, I feel like, because like it's moving so fast, it's almost exhausting to keep up with how
I
fast
know.
it's moving. And I was like, I'm falling behind here. I was like, I need a day where I'm just going to go play with a lot of these tools that I hear about consistently. And the first one I opened up was Replit. And I used to write code. I wasn't like a high level developer or anything like that, but I used to write code. And what I learned is that in the past, everybody was limited by the skills that they had, right? And you can only develop so many skills so quickly. You're never going to have all of the skills, right? But now with AI, since it has like all of the skills, you're only limited by your ability to communicate what you want and your creativity. And I was like, for a person like me, with how my mind works, I was like, this is a dream. This is a dream. Like, you can create anything you want, like, because you can be as creative as you want. So this gives humans like a huge creative output right now. But essentially, the tool I was building, I would go through that process with, I was using Claude for this specifically because it was code. I think Claude's a little bit better for code rather than GPT. And I'd have it write a mega prompt in excruciating detail. I mean, some of these prompts, if you copied it and pasted it into a Google Doc, they'd be like 50 pages is how long these prompts would be. I would give it to Replit, and I would tell Replit, do you have any questions, concerns, how this is going to affect the current code base, or like how you should implement this, or anything at all? And then Replit would have a bunch of questions. So I'd copy those questions, and I'd take it to Claude, and I'd give Claude those questions. Claude would spit out an answer, and then I would give it back to Replit, and Replit would say, yep, I'm good to go. And I'd hit start, and Replit would build it all, like really, really dialed, because as a human, you can't give that level of like clarity of a prompt, and you don't have the knowledge to do it. But using the AI, using one AI to ask the other AI questions and take the answers back to the other AI, was like a sweet hack that I found, that just like, I literally did the work in 10 days of the software that I built that would have probably taken like 30 developers like a year did it in 10 days, which is, it's just absurd. It's really absurd.
Incredible. So a couple things here before we dive into what software did you build, if you're open to sharing. But one thing that you mentioned, so as we were about to jump on here, I always block off morning time for just like deep work. It's like head down, no distractions. I got 2 little kids at home. Lately, over the last week, my 3-year-old's been waking me up at 1 or 2 or 3 in the morning anyway. So I just get up and like head down, go to town. And this morning, I'm like, all right, we need to have better documentation of SOPs for the land clearing businesses, for Bear Claw, what we're doing here, what we're doing down in Texas, what guys we're working with in owner ops, all this stuff. So I just went to town on creating a prompt. Now, 2 things I picked up from you, what you said that I'm going to take and implement into my system is 1, use the Canvas tool, because to your point right here, this is what happens when a redneck like me uses ChatGPT, right? And then you get a pro like Andy on here who knows how to do it. I'm like rewriting every single one. I'm having ChatGPT go back and asking it to rewrite it. Now I ended up with a pretty good system here, but to Andy's point, I'm not using Canvas, which would have solved the issue of me having to ask it to rewrite itself. The second thing that I took away from you that I need to implement better is ask me 10 questions after this if you need clarifications, and then write a mega prompt on this.
Yep. Yeah. Like the asking of the questions is like absurdly important, because it, like, you can only give it so much insight. And it's just like talking to a human. If you just went and gave a human a bunch of directions, they're going to have a bunch of questions afterwards, because they're not going to have a full, like, clear understanding right away. So it gives that. But I'm going to share my screen quickly to show the canvas for anybody that's watching. Can you see this? Can you see this on your end, Austin?
Yeah, here we go.
Okay.
I got you.
Yeah. So essentially, like, you could tell it right in SOP for AI SEO for home service businesses, and it'll write it in the canvas over here. It should. I prompted it a little bit differently than I normally would, but it'll write it all in here, and it'll format it correctly, like with bold headings, bullet points, different sections, and whatnot. But it'll write it here, and then anything that you want to edit, you can just like click into the text over here and just make your own edits. Or you can just come over here and say, in this specific section, I want to update it, include more detail about this. And then instead of spitting out the whole prompt, and because when it respits out the whole entire prompt, it typically makes errors. It doesn't, like, it might have it perfect, and then you ask it to do it again, and it changes it a little bit. And then you're like, oh, now it starts getting a little bit messy and a little bit sloppy at that point, versus in the canvas, you can also, I think in GPT, you probably can. In Claude, you can go back through versions. Like, you can see all the versions. So every time it makes an edit, it creates a new version. And if you don't like that version, you can, just roll it back right into that previous version. But it's going to make, like, using this, like, for you doing those specific tasks as well, it's going to make your life way easier. But then I'm curious. I used to make a lot of SOPs, and I stopped because I just felt like I've distribute them. Maybe we would talk about them once, and then most people just didn't refer back to them in the future. Maybe that's like a leadership issue where it's like they come to ask you questions, like, go look at the SOP prior to asking me this question. But I just felt like they weren't really used. I actually felt like it was more for my benefit of working through problems and doing my own writing, rather than like how much it helped the team. What do you think?
I would agree with that. Like, I've experienced this because I think you and I are wired similarly. We're just builders. Like, I always want to be creating something. Like, I'm not a great manager. I more so am just like, I'll create the process, and like, here's the process. I'll give you a Loom video, and I'll give you a Notion, document outlining the SOP. I've thought through this whole thing already, and I've allocated 3 hours of my deep work time to this, thinking through this for you. If you have a question, go ask Notion AI the question, because I've already answered that here, right? Like, that's the expectation that I'm working to set with people. But in all reality, that doesn't work all the time, because people just, some people just need to do it to learn. And then they also need to ask somebody else a question. Like, it's just how some people learn. So I would agree with you on that, that it's not a bulletproof system to just tell people to reference that. But what I do believe is very important is to say, hey, at right now in this phase of the business, this is what I think is best. And this is the process that we have discussed internally as leadership. And we're hiring you to do these 3 things. And right now, here's how you are going to be tracked on this. Here's your KPI. For example, speed to lead. Like that's what I'm creating right now. I'm realizing that we're dropping the ball on speed to lead. And it's so important. We talk about it on the podcast all the time. I'm like, we have to get this figured out, right? How do we implement a system that we call leads fast, even when our salesperson is on a site visit with a customer, right? We can't drop the ball there. Why? Because the data tells us that if we wait 5 minutes, 80% of our close rate goes down, or we lose out on that lead, right?
Yep.
So the really clear thing that I'm trying to do here, create the SOP, then create a Loom video walking them through the expectations, and then reviewing that with the person on a call so that they have a very clear written format, a video format of me communicating that, and a communication one-on-one call up front. Then if they're not hitting those metrics a month in, we can go back to the fact that we have documentation of it. And I have a recording of this showing that you watched this. If you're telling me that I haven't communicated it to you, this one's on you, right? And so that's me trying to take more responsibility as a leader for communicating clearly with people.
Yep. I like that you mentioned the Notion AI, because what I was going to get to is ChatGPT just released a feature yesterday called Company Knowledge. You can connect your Google Drive, you can connect your Slack, HubSpot, and they'll add more connectors later down the road, but there's a lot that you can connect. And so I don't know, I haven't tested it that much yet, so I don't know how great its memory is, but it can go pull through different sources. So like example for Bodhi, I could say, can you summarize every channel that Bodhi's in Slack and see what his conversations were today and spit out a summary to me? And GPT will go find those in Slack, and then bring them back to me. I don't know how great it is at this point, but like you can see like where the future's heading with that. But I like what I was going to get to is like, I think the SOPs make the most sense given to an LLM that all the employees can access by default all the time and just ask it any question they want. I mean, like for Hormozy, Layla has her own AI that the employees can ask about Layla questions, right? To attempt to like get closer before they have to like go up chain for questions. They can just ask that and, brainstorm with it. Hormozy has the AI that he released in that offer. I actually still use it consistently. I didn't just buy it and forget about it. And it's not perfect, but it's helpful, right? Because like a lot of AI is, or even like with this goal of like SOPs and getting people to understand like what they need to do. Like sometimes they just need a nudge, or they just forget. We're humans and our memory is not perfect. And when they ask, like, oh yeah, I remember that. Now I can go and take care of these details. Like, oh, I am responsible for this, but I got busy and I was like focused on these 3 other things. So I was dropping the ball here. But if you take that a next level further, and like a reason that I like the software that I built, and I'm about to basically have internal softwares for each department, because every software is they're all limiting. None of them will ever do everything that you want them to do, because they're built for mass market, and they're not like you can make as many requests to the product team as you want, and very rarely are you going to get your product or your feature shipped through the product. And so the next level of that is just having very good clarity of data on every part of the business. And like with something like Replit, what I built was it's like a retention software. I call it a retention software, but it's, as our business grows bigger and we have different account managers who are managing the clients, we want to make sure, like, one, we care about our reputation a lot. We want to make sure everybody's getting a good service. But you also then need quality assurance at some point. As the company gets so big, you need to be able to oversee people, not just subjectively be like, yeah, that person seems like a good person. I think they're doing a good job. Like you're not going to build a great business like that. And so for the software I built, it's all about like the account manager's job is retention and results for clients, right? Because if they get results, retention is good, customer support's good, communication. And so it tracks things like overall company wide, what's our 90-day survival rate? Because there should never be a reason that somebody comes in with us and cancels within 90 days. Like we dropped the ball somewhere. He's like, we set really bad expectations. We had really poor communication. At some point, we really messed up somewhere for somebody to cancel with us in 3 months. Of course, there's going to be like an anomaly case, somebody got in a car accident. You know what I mean? Like those things are naturally going to happen, but that's all stored in the database of the reason of a cancellation. So that'll get like pushed out of there. But it just gives me like good data on how many clients are each account manager actively managing. What are the revenue levels of those clients that they're managing? What industry are they in? What is their churn rate by industry? Is somebody better in a certain industry? Now, if somebody comes through us and they're a landscaper, I know John knows landscaping the best and he's crushing it with landscaping. So that account is going to go directly to John, right? Certain details like that. Then, and this is where it gets crazy, like me being the medium between two AIs, is I built machine learning capabilities. So we have, based off of the customer profile, let's say it's a cleaning company that does 500,000 to $1 million of revenue. And these are all just made up numbers. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. And let's say on average, they cancel on month 11, right? And so now we know that cleaning companies that do 500,000 to $1 million typically cancel at month 11. So we begin to dissect, like, what is the reasoning for that at that point? Should we be proactively downselling them? Should we be offering them discounts? Should we be doing something nice for them by giving them more deliverables at that time to, continue the partnership with us? And so that's like one segment of the data that's collected, but we use Fireflies to transcribe all of our calls. And so connected to the Fireflies API, and I pull the calls in, and we pull those transcripts in, send them off to ChatGPT with a very specific prompt to pull out an itemized summary of like call sentiment, objections, dissatisfaction from a customer, wins from a customer, whatever the case is. And using based off of like that customer's avatar, cleaning company, 500,000 to $1 million, typically churn at this point. How many months have they been with us? What is the sentiment in the calls right now to give a client health score? So now we have health scores dedicated to every single customer that is with us. And then once it drops below a certain point, we get notified that this is a potential customer that wants to cancel. And so like now we'd be proactive about that. So this is where like quality assurance comes in at like a higher, as a company grows, right? Now a senior account manager managing account managers can now step into the situation, be full clarity on what's going on with every single client, because they can quickly get that summary. They get automatic inbox every single week, Sunday, 9 p.m. They get an email with all of the account managers, what they're struggling with, what clients they need help with, where we're lacking on performance, and wins as well. It's not all like negative aspects. But it allows layers of management to be able to properly track the data on those people, because like I'm circling all this back to the SOP. You have the SOP, and then you come to them months later when you realize something isn't being done, but that could have potentially been caught way sooner, that they were lacking in an area, but you can't know it sooner because you don't have clarity of data of what's being done, right? So you end up catching those things way too late at that point. And now it's like a recovery process. It's like you're not being proactive, you're being reactive at that point, right? Because of the data. And so it's weird how those two got linked together in my mind, from SOPs to that. But like that's kind of the reason that it was built, was basically for that function. And I just think like that's independent to our business, but that's like every business could use something like that, right? Like you want to know your customer health scores, what they think about the service, what they're saying, and everything like that. It's because as the owner, eventually you're not involved in every single customer conversation, but your brand and reputation is on the line with every customer that comes in, and your reputation. So you need some level of assurance over what's happening there. But that's how I was the medium between the two AIs to build that.
So I was watching an interview I did with Bodie like a year and a half ago. Maybe it was a year ago. And he was talking us through how to optimize Google business profiles to take it a step further. It was specifically for using the products on Google Business Profile to link to your website. And what he mentioned was, he's like, my partner Andy, he takes us at an academic level. And so for people watching that, if you've seen that video, this is the Andy he's talking about. And so this is what Bodie is mentioning when he says he takes it, to that level. And so there are an unbelievable amount of opportunities and ways that we could be using AI right now. So, right now, I'm curious to hear. Okay, you've taken it all the way to an insane level within your business specific. But for a blue collar guy like me who's running a land clearing business, forestry business, what are some interesting ways that we could be leveraging AI right now?
Yeah. So as you talk about speed to lead, I think like a human is gonna, if a human is speed to lead, it's way better than AI. But like from a conversational standpoint in SMS, AI can do absolutely fine if you feed it. If you use AI to build mega prompts, to build SOPs, feed it past conversations. Like you can take call recordings, get the transcripts from all of those, feed it to Chat GPT, make it learn all of these, make it pull out all the objections in order of the frequency that the objections occur. Then you write responses of how you handle those objections. You have it write a mega prompt of an SOP, and then you give it to like whatever conversational AI tool that you're going to use. So if a lead comes through the website and there's a form submission, right? Like I think you can probably like feed this information to Go High Level. I think Go High Level, you can have like conversational AI SMS in there now. And so it can immediately know the person's name, where they're at. You can train on like what text messages send first, make it send a double text because a double text looks a little bit more human than a single text, especially when it comes from a green message. Typically, an automated message feels kind of feels scammy. Typically, like a green message, you know it's automated. Add a double text, one text, 15 seconds later, another text. Now it makes it feel superhuman because typically like an automated message is going to be super structured. You're going to have it really well thought through and you're just going to send one message with perfect grammar, like no mistakes at all. So it can make it sound like a human with a double text, and based off of their response and all that information you have in that mega prompt from all like 50, 100 past customer conversations, deals won, deals closed, train the algorithm on both of those. It can basically have a full entire conversation and get you all the information you need and lead into a call. So now when you actually, the person goes into that call, they're going to have a ton of information at that point. And a lot of people might prefer to SMS, like text initially prior to a conversation. I don't know. That's going to be independent of each business, but like that's a way that it can be used from like a sales and lead perspective. Another way is simply most people that are running at a high level have a CRM. They'll know what customers they did jobs for. They'll know what jobs they did for them, what areas they did these jobs in. You can literally just download that as a CSV. And like, I mean, if you just want to like do this at like a really, really basic level, you just download it as a CSV, upload it to GPT. And if you don't even know what you want, you can just say, please provide me some unique insights from my customer data here. And that'll just get you started. And then you can start ideating to pull what you want out of that. But you can look at it if you want to go like a little bit deeper in that aspect. You can say like which jobs were the most profitable, which ones, if like I don't know, it all depends on your internal processes. And so like if in the CRM, then whoever was in charge of like overseeing that job, they write like a feedback summary of like this went really well because of this, like a post-mortem analysis basically, and how the customer feedback was. You can just send that to GPT and say like which jobs were most profitable, which ones did we get 5-star reviews on, who was most satisfied, what areas were these jobs in. And so now you know like maybe you're shifting targeting towards, like we've talked about it together on here before, like you're shifting towards fire mitigation, and there's specific areas that you might want to target. Whatever the case is, you can pull that data out of there. But the most important part is with AI, you can't do any of this unless you have data. You have to get clean. Like the data is never going to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect ever, but you have to be storing data and knowing what data to collect. So this is a lesson that I give Jerry, that's on our team all the time. And it just came to fruition recently. I would always be wanting to collect this data, and he was unsure, like, why do you want to collect this data? I'm like, I have no idea. I don't know, but I think I might want this in the future. Therefore, I'm collecting this data now. Then 6-12 months later, you're like, oh, shoot, I'm so glad I have this data at this point now, because now I know what I want to do with it. But don't want to ramble on for too long. Those are two, like conversational with SMS, I think is working really well. I saw Andrew Rampolla in Christmas light season, basically scheduling in demos or whatever the term would be used for him to, show up as scheduling appointments, basically.
Appointment, yeah.
Right. Yep. That was working well for him, and that was with Go High Level, their conversational SMS. And then I'm sure a lot of people in the back end are doing like job costing and things like that with AI as well to see what their most profitable jobs were. Because then it can generate out reports for you. So you can see like, oh, this job was not profitable. Let me go talk to my manager who was on that and see like what went wrong here. You know, where did we mess up and why did this happen? How can we not let this happen again?
So I mentioned this. I don't remember if it was on one of you and I's recordings or not. It was definitely on the podcast, but somebody asked me, where do you think your time is best spent in this phase of business? And I started thinking about that. If I had a 10-day block of nothing, I would shut everything off. Like here's my dream scenario right here. Shut all communication off, have zero contact with anybody, and the only thing on my laptop and my screen is a communication with AI and access to all of my data. Because what would come out of that would be incredible. So like the 10 days of undistracted focus of ideating with AI, I have so many ideas for how we can improve. But to your point, having that conversation first and just feeding it and then saying, ask me questions or give me ideas for how I can improve my business. I was being straightforward when I mentioned that on the podcast. Like I actually think the best use of my time right now, as long as you have a team in place, if I want to improve the business, could be to spend a 10-day undistracted block to actually build things that could help us improve certain areas of the business. And then taking that a step further, I'm curious if you've thought about this at all. So I have all these ideas and I'll record something and then I'll delegate that to one of our VAs or somebody on our team. But what if, like, have you come across anybody who is specializing in this exact thing? Like, I'm an AI pro. Like, I'm an AI, I'm hesitant to call it AI assistant because that's used in a different term. But think of it like hiring a VA who is a pro at communicating, to where you have a direct communication with that assistant, the person, and that person goes and does all of this, right? Downloads your data, starts communicating with Replit, starts communicating between ChatGPT and Claude. Have you come across that or had any thoughts about that being like a dream hire?
Yeah. So I think about it a lot. And so we have someone on our team, a couple of people on our team who are super intelligent. They were developers and then they've been working with us like on SEO specifically for like 2 or 3 years at this point. And the hardest part is like they can do the things, but it's me being able to clearly communicate exactly what I want, because I like in order to do this, like the software that I built, like I didn't fully know what I want until I'm actively working through it. And so like there's definitely those people out there. Like I have people on my team that I could delegate things to. It's just really challenging. It's a really, really challenging, I think, to like just be very clear on and specific on what you want. And it's really hard to portray a vision as it relates to like, even when we build websites for at the simple stuff, when we build a website for somebody, right? They have a vision in their head and I can't see it. Like they can try and describe it. I have no idea what they actually see. And so like we'll create like just the homepage for them and either they're super happy or they're like, this is not what I want at all. I want it more like this. And which is like, we have a whole process of like iterating for like the creative aspect now, but it's just the same idea. Is just that it's really hard to like have this vision in your head and give it completely to somebody. So I think I think it is a dream to have that, but I honestly think that AI is going to continually get good enough that AI is just that for you. Like, I don't know if you used GPT's new browser yet. Don't use it because there's malware that can happen. So like people can put code on their website that can inject a prompt into it's called GPT Atlas. Same thing can happen to Perplexity's Comet browser as well, but it's agentic. And so this is kind of getting to that point of like, you might not need a person like as a hire for that. You can go on GPT Atlas right now. Super simple example, but I could say, I want to go get dinner with my wife. There's 2 of us in Las Olas, which is our downtown area in Fort Lauderdale. And I want you to get us a reservation at 7 p.m. at a restaurant that has at least 200 5-star reviews. The agent will go. You can just open a new tab and start doing whatever you want. And the agent will go to Open Table. They'll search Google, find restaurants with those reviews, go to Open Table, and then ask, I found these 3 restaurants. They have spots available at 7. Do you want me to book one of them? You just tell it what you want to book. It'll book the reservation for you right there. It'll know your name, your phone number, your email. Eventually, like, you're probably going to allow it to know your credit card information to go and make purchases for you. But I think that hire is actually just going to be AI. It's just not there yet. But I wouldn't be surprised in like the pace of this is moving in like 12 months, if that's the case, where you just whisper flow to it and it can get context much better than it does right now.
Yeah, that's going to be crazy. Can you share Whisper Flow with the listeners? Because this was something you shared with me last time we talked, and I've implemented it into my system, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So Whisper Flow, it's spelled WISPR. It's like, and then Flow, FLOW. It's like $10 a month or so. But all you do on your keyboard, I have it on my phone too, right? So you have a hotkey, which is like a button that you hold, and you'll see a little pop up on the screen, and then you just talk into it. And so it's different than like if you're just using dictate on your phone, like it's going to mess up your words. There's not going to be any grammar. There's not going to be paragraph separation. It's just really messy if you use dictate. Instead, you're talking into basically like an AI that's transcribing it and actually understands the context of what you're saying. So it'll do proper grammar. It'll separate paragraphs. It'll know sometimes when you're creating a list, and it'll just bullet point out the list for you. And so like, this is how I was able to do these mega prompts, right? I'm not typing a whole book. I'm not doing it. It take an hour to type what, I can just talk. But it's like we have like most of the team using it at this point, because it's just like so efficient. It just saves so much time. Like, you can either type something out for 20 minutes or you can say it for 2 minutes and, get your idea across stronger and better at this point. Like, I'm always sending paragraphs to people anymore at this point, because I can just give much context so easily.
No, I'm with you. And like, so before I started using Whisperflow, my system or my workflow was I'd jump on Loom, do recording. I would use Loom's AI transcript feature, copy the transcript, post into ChatGPT, and then prompt ChatGPT for whatever I needed it to do. Hey, take this transcript from Loom, turn it into whatever, right? School video classroom description for how to do X, Y, or Z, or turn this into a YouTube transcript, or I had this idea for this YouTube video, like turn this in, or I had this idea for Facebook ad. And I would just start talking into Loom, because like I can talk faster than I can type. And that usually allows me to get into flow faster, to just brain dump and then get it out into a transcript and then let AI start cleaning it up. But Whisper Flow has been incredible for even just like Slack communication. And I find myself now, and it took a while because you have such a habit of typing. So I've found that over the last, 3-4 weeks since we last spoke about that, it takes a conscious effort to stop typing, because what you know how to do is type. And then whenever I've taken a step back, push the key, let it rip, it just responds. And so it's really cool. I'm interested to hear how long away is, or how far away is the scenario where you can have like a treadmill in your office and just walk and not use a mouse or keyboard, and you can just talk and it's going to know what it needs to do.
Yeah, honestly, like if you did use, like I said, be careful. A lot of people are using it, but like people can, because it's an agent, they can inject a prompt into the agent and make it do things like go into your Gmail and accept this password reset or whatever. Like that's a
Whisperflow or on
or GPT Atlas, like the new browser.
Okay, yeah.
But
I just
I'm talking about I'm talking about the browser because of what you asked. I think it's close. It's honestly close. I mean, try it on like safe sites, like download the GPT Atlas browser and go into agent mode. And so I can show you. Let me pull it up. We can go through like an example of it, because I think this will be interesting for a lot of people, because this is like from an SEO standpoint, like right now I'm like 30 pages in, because the way I learn is through writing. And then I like to share it. Obviously, once I'm done, it works as a piece of content. But I'm like 30 pages into an AI SEO document right now for home service businesses. It's just like, it's excruciating detail. I doubt anyone's going to read the whole thing, but they can if they want to. But it's more of a way just for me to learn. But the reason I'm saying this is I'm sure you both the agent, and why I'm saying this is because this is GBT's browser. Are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, disclaimer here for everybody. What he's showing you here, he's taking his own risk here. This is not advice. Do all of this at your own risk. Like, we're not taking any responsibility for this. Andy's mentioned that there could be potential security measures with things like ChatGPT, using agents, things like that. So please do not take this as advice.
Yep. Yeah. So in here, I can just search roofing company near me. And so this is like the new age search if you're using Atlas. And so Google already has this. If you use AI search mode, it'll likely appear like this, but it just recommends one business now. Like if you search roofing company near me, it's just one. And you can go into search and you can extend out to Google. But this is Atlas is built on Chromium, which it's like an open source browser that Google made. That's why it's called Google Chrome, but it's the same browser, except now the natural search is just in GPT. So this is why I'm working on the AI SEO document, because I think this is the future. Do I think behavior is going to shift from people finding local businesses on Google in the next like 60, 90, 1 year? No, I don't think so. Google like crazy amount of search volume relative to like a GPT every single day. But do I think in the future Google is going to make a change? Behavior trends will change. Yes, I definitely think so, because people want more accurate information, and you trust GPT a lot because it speaks so confidently, even though it does make mistakes. So that this is just like the future of search here. And then also, if I go to just use this website because I'm a wrestling fan, but I can just go on here now, and I can ask it to like summarize me headlines of this page. So like it can see this page and read everything on this page, and it can, so you can ask questions if you don't understand something. You can even, I believe, like highlight text maybe and ask things about specific text, but it'll summarize it here. But now getting to answer your question about like when can we walk on a treadmill and just tell it and it'll do things. This is where it's interesting. I'll use Whisper Flow to do this. I'm looking for a dinner reservation in Los Olas in Fort Lauderdale for me and my wife on Saturday at 7 p.m. Can you please find me reservations that are available for a restaurant at that time? So I'm in agent mode here. And I'll hit search. And so like while this is doing this, is going to take a little bit, but like you can just open another tab and just be doing whatever you want to do the whole time while the agent is running and doing, whatever it needs to do to solve these. But likely we'll see it. I haven't seen it do this yet, but likely you're going to see it go into a browser and start searching around. I want to say, at least that's how it has been operating. But right now it looks like it's just maybe just doing a web search on. Oh, here we go. So searching top restaurants, Los Olas Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale. It's on Open Table. It's looking for, I think I said on Saturday. So it might not pick up the date. So this date should be October 25th. Look at that. It might do it. Yep. October 25th. It has 7 p.m. in there. It has 2 people. Then it's going to search through and find the restaurants, and then it's going to bring them back to me. Then I can tell it to reserve the restaurants. But like all in the meantime, right, I could just be working on whatever I want to work on. You can just open naturally a GPT tab over here and, just continue working while this does work for you. So, I mean, you can think of like a million different ideas of how you might use it, whether it's like go respond to this email and say this, or go summarize me go read everything in my inbox and summarize these for me and tell me which ones I need to respond to immediately, which ones are like urgent. right? You could just send it to do little tasks for you like that. So like a lot of the tasks that like someone might hire a personal assistant to do, you just prompt AI to do it at this point, which is the annoying part because you still have to prompt it to do it, but you're going to be able to schedule tasks with it. You can already schedule tasks to do with it, but now with Agent in the browser, I don't know if you can schedule tasks for the agent yet, but you could set a task every day at 9 a.m., go through my email, summarize the emails, who they're from, let me know if any are urgent. If there's cold emails in there, which are totally just BS emails that I don't want to read, delete them for me. And it'll clear your inbox for you and summarize the emails. Like those are simple things. So you can think of much more complex tasks that you could send it to do as well.
How much have you implemented in your workflow?
So I mean, just in general, like using like a GPT or Claude, Manus.
Sorry, I'm asking specific to Agent. So how much permission have you given it specific to your, let's just take your email, for example. Does it have permission to your email inbox? Do you have it do that every single day?
Not yet. So Atlas actually just came out 2 nights ago, and I haven't been using it much, but now in Chat GPT, or this was in Claude for a long time, you can connect your Gmail to it. And so you can just ask it questions about the email. I don't do it. I don't use Agent for much yet at this point, but I mean, I like live in GPT. Like there's basically every single hour I'm using it at least like 5 times in an hour minimum, probably. And it's my opinion that if you aren't using it to its fullest extent as much as you can every day to make you better, you're going to be absolutely smoked. Because there's going to be, I mean, there's going to be 18-year-old kids doing the work of 10, 30-year-old men.
Yeah.
Because they just like took the time to like learn how to leverage their time better with AI.
It's the truth. It's the truth. That's why I love these blue collar businesses, because it's going to take the longest to actually replace the actual work that needs to be done.
Do you get hit with Hormozi's ads?
Yeah, but I've been in a sprint mode for the last 3 weeks or so. And so my social media, like I deleted, just as far as like a scroller, I deleted everything off my phone.
So his ads, so I know someone who recently went to one of his workshops, and he said that it was like 90% home service businesses there. And in his ads, the target market he's calling out for workshops are home service businesses. And I know of a roofing company who his team was talking to potentially take a stake in. And because it's my opinion also that we're seeing 1950s Warren Buffett is Hormozi right now in this generation. And you will hear him quote Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett frequently. And one of the things that Buffett lives by and he never really breaks is he invests into businesses and industries that are very, very slow to change. Like how they were for the last 50 years, they'll probably be a lot like that in the next 50 years. And Hormozi follows a lot of those principles. He doesn't really have many software investments outside of school. They do have like a venture capital arm now where they need to allocate some capital, into home run swings. But I think he's going to lean really heavy into home services because it's really difficult to make an investment into like a software company right now when GPT releases a new feature and it just destroys a wave of AI businesses because now it's just like naturally integrated in there versus the home services are going to change much slower until Tesla Optimus and Figure come out and replace a lot of Amazon announced they're going to lay off like 600,000 workers because humanoids are going to be packing the boxes and shipping materials and things like that much more efficiently, 24 hours a day, no breaks, not going to complain, going to do it all. I don't know if have you seen videos of Optimus lately or Figure, or have you seen any of them?
No, like I said, I've literally been in grind mode for the last 3 to 4 weeks, and I'm like, where can I get more time? And I identified it. I just deleted, all the social media stuff. So I'm still creating all this stuff and still pushing, but like I'm pushing really hard on the businesses right now. Like it's very clear to me what needs to happen to grow. And I mean, yeah, you see a guy like, other guys who you're bringing in, which I don't know if you're down to share about the event that you're doing or not, but you see some of the the other speakers you've lined up there, and it's like what they're doing is clearly working. So what those people are talking about is where if I want to grow the business, like I need to be spending my time doing that. And it really just comes down to like getting more leads, focusing on sales, close rate, and hiring the right people to fulfill hiring great talent. Like it's really what it comes down to. And so all of my focus recently has just been on build better SOPs so that we can set better, clear expectations as we hire people, figure out how to drive more leads. Okay, we figured out this paid ads thing like pretty decently, but I want to become a pro, right? Like I want to become the best in the game at that. And so in my industry, so it's like everything I'm doing is figuring out, all right, how do we become the absolute best at running paid ads for our specific industry? How do we become the best at hiring sales people and holding them accountable to specific metrics in our industry? And then how do we hire the best talent in our industry? And it's like very clear that that's the three places I need to spend my time.
Is what's your biggest bottleneck on scaling the ads further outside of spend and geographical area? Obviously, me and you have talked about that in the past, but basically, I think maybe what I'm taking away is that you are trying to basically make the most profit of every single dollar that you spend. So that's why I think you probably mentioned speed to lead being a big thing, because paid advertising, completely cold traffic that you hit, they don't come and find you. Speed to lead is extremely important. Is that like the biggest bottleneck? Is the sales process, or like two of those combined to, like get a better return on that money?
Yeah, ultimately, like, it comes down to you as the owner. We've talked about this before. If we're not following up with leads fast enough, it's not the sales rep's fault. It's the fact that I haven't put a system in place that counteracts what happens whenever he's in a site visit and we get a lead. It's like, well, that's a mislead, and I may as well just go take that money out of my bank account and flush it right down the toilet. And it's really hard to get, like, I think in a salesperson's mind, it's like, oh, I'll just follow up, right? And it's like, no. Like that, we have the data to support the fact that like you're not going to close that lead, so you're not going to make the commission, and the business is not going to make the money. So therefore, we need to solve that constraint, right? And I'll just taking it upon myself to be like, okay, it's my responsibility to go figure this out and solve this and build a system that works very clearly. And then the next piece is like, okay, we have some great sales reps, we have some good ones, and we have some average ones, right? What differentiate great salespeople from average people? And then what do we need to be training on? How do we build a program that trains people on a very specific set of standards and then holds them accountable to specific KPIs? And if they're not hitting it, we need to just have that conversation and then have a performance improvement plan. And if they don't hit the performance improvement plan, then we need to go hire the next person. Like it's very clear to me how to grow the business now, right? You see what a guy like Sam does. It's like the guy figures out how to run paid ads, how to close deals, how to build operations to support it. And so, yeah, that's just where I'm at.
Do you do any lead scoring? Like, I don't know what information you collect from a lead. So like something that we will implement in the future, as we grow and maybe there's more sales reps and things like that, is based off of the questions that they fill out in the form. So for us, when someone comes through our paid ads funnel, like there's a bunch of qualifying questions. Like if they're not qualified, like they just get rejected and they can't schedule a call with us because we probably can't help those people, or they're not going to be a good client for us. But based off of like, say, revenue level, marketing spend, how long they've been in business for, things like that, those give us ideas into who our best clients are typically. And in the future, we'll just route those to the best, because there's like logic. We use Typeform. You just put logic into the form. So if they answer this question, they go to here. If it's just a bunch of if-else statements until they land on either the best closers calendar, or like if they're not a great lead, they're going to go to the lesser quality rep, whoever that is, at that point. And so we'll score leads. Not doing it right now. We don't have the need to do it at this moment, but we're going to score them that way and then route them to the best person.
Yeah. No, I don't do anything. Like where my head is at right now is, all right, if we get 100 leads per month, how many of those should we be booking to site visits? Like what's the percentage? And it's going to be different for every business, but you have to set some sort of standard in the beginning to track. I'm curious if you have just sort of like a all home service industry benchmark that you see across the board. If a business gets 100 leads a month, how many, if you're implementing speed to lead, like even on an average or good rate, like less than 5 minutes, like I want it within 10 seconds, because I know when I'm doing sales, I have the notification coming to me and I'm calling the freaking lead as soon as the number comes in, because I know that equates to a booked job. If I can call them, book the site visit, show up, shake their hand, deliver the quote with confidence, boom, we're going to win that deal. But it's like, how do you convey that to other people to show them this is exactly how to do it and this is the importance? Well, it's like you set very clear standards with them. Okay, we need to track that you are going to be calling 90% of every lead within 10 seconds. And at the end of the month, if you're not doing it, we're going to have a conversation about it.
Yeah, so I don't have any benchmark data because we don't like control the full back end of people's businesses. But I think like Sam, for example, has like a 60% sit rate or something like that. And so the thing is though, that number, like this is the thing about data, you have to get like super granular with it and think through edge cases, because you could say 100 leads, I should sit with 50% of these people at an appointment. But if you don't qualify your leads really well and you're letting poor quality leads come through, artificially that score is going to drop. Exactly. And so like it's very important to only let qualified people make it through the funnel, and every business is going to have different qualifications. It could be like a credit score, could be where you live, you know what I mean? Could be the service that you need, things like that is what they say their budget is for the job to even let them through to potentially even get contacted, I think is a thing as well. So no like benchmark data, obviously the numbers as high as possible, but with the best qualified leads, because every business runs into this. Like you want as many leads as possible, and then you realize it's actually a detriment to your business to have as many leads as possible when you're letting unqualified people come through, because unqualified people typically are then bad customers or bad clients, depending on what your business is, and they are cancers to your organization. They're like allowing the wrong customers into your organization destroys the employees' motivation, like confidence in themselves, because the really like typically the problem isn't like the service that's being provided or how it's being provided. It's just that like you're working with a bad customer who one maybe isn't even the right fit for it in the first place anyways. And now like the salesperson or the account manager, whoever it is questioning themselves based off because of these letting these people in. And so I think it's a roundabout way to answer like a benchmark question, but I think like the point I'm trying to make is that like need to make sure the leads are qualified in order to even track that data in the first place. Yes. And then not let them in at all. You know, you do enough business for a long enough period of time, you know who your ideal customer is, how they act, how they talk to you, how they treat your employees and stuff like that. I think that's also an important point, is being willing to get rid of customers and show your employees that you have their back over trying to make more money from the customer as well. There's been many times that we've had to step in and get rid of people because they were disrespectful to employees. And it's like, well, it sucks. We lose a client, we lose this amount of money, but in the long run, you have a better employee who respects you more, stay with you longer, and probably get better results over the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. So great point. Qualify the leads whenever you come in. For those of you who are listening who may not know what that means, what Andy's referring to is in your form, in your lead form, you need to have qualifying questions, and those questions need to be specific to your business to basically move them further down your funnel. So if they opt in and tell you that they are in fact the property owner, or if they give you the amount of acres that the land is, or if they, what would be some other qualifying questions you see to qualify a lead?
So like, I think roofing might be a simple example. What type of roof do you have? Is this like an insurance claim? How old is the roof? Do you know what the roof needs? Does it need a repair? Is there a problem that's happening with it that you're already aware of? And so like you might not disqualify people always, like this might not be perfect for disqualification of this, but you also just have a better idea of the call that you're going to go into when you ask qualifying, when you can get some upfront information for the call, you just like bypass all that discovery for it. So like, I don't know if those are necessarily like disqualifying questions. They could potentially be if someone says, I want a metal roof, and you're like, I don't do metal roofs. So I'm just going to maybe just refer this to somebody that I know who does metal roofs. Right. So like that might be a disqualification. Mm-hmm. The location, You can ask budget for projects, but people are always going to typically put a lower amount in there because they're not, they don't want to put the highest amount, and then you are trying to price them higher or something like that. They don't want to be taken advantage of, right? But I think just questions about like what they're looking for, what problems they have, who they are, and where they're at could be qualifying and disqualifying questions.
And then you said 60% sit rate, meaning if you got 100 leads, 60% would convert to a booked appointment.
Yeah, and I can't. We'd have to go back and look at. I think Sam shared that data publicly on Twitter. I don't know if that was exactly the number, but I think it was like 45 to 60% range. Don't hold me to it, but I think it's probably in that range for them.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Not everybody. He's one of like the reason that Sam's business is performing so well and he's growing so well is because he has good data. He tracks all the numbers. It's literally the difference between the guy that does 2 million and the guy that is going to do 20 million this year is they have substance to actually make decisions off of, or else you're just firing blind if you don't have anything.
Yep. Yeah, that's where I'm thinking, like, as I'm working through SOPs this morning, because you have to have some sort of expectation, right? And to your point, you do have to qualify leads. So like whoever's doing your setting is not going to book 50 to 60% of appointments if they're not getting qualified leads. So if you have 100 trash leads, like that number's not going to be tracked. But my point is like, once you implement the KPI, then you start tracking it, because what gets measured gets managed, even by leadership and by the person who's owning that responsibility. So then we can have a conversation about like, we got 100 leads last month, but we only booked 19 appointments. Why the heck are we only booking 19 appointments? So then it gives you a reason to go dissect the system. It's like, well, is it a lead problem, or is this a phone script problem, or is it a speed to lead problem, right? Can we go back and look at the data to support how fast we called this? Yes, you can if you're using a system like Go High Level. And so those are all the things that I'm working. It's like, okay, in order to get to the next level, we have to track this stuff. We have to build the process, and then we have to just hire the people and set the proper expectations that this is how we're going to do it and track it. And if you don't meet these certain KPIs, then we first need to have a conversation about it and make sure that our metrics are right. If they're not realistic, then let's redo those. But then let's figure that out first. And once we figure that out, then we implement the metrics. And then if the people aren't hitting the metrics, then we have the conversation, and we just need to be okay with having those hard conversations, right?
Yeah. It makes your meetings more efficient then too. Because I mean, even like a year ago, like we would maybe like, or before the software I built for the account managers, when like Jerry's going into a meeting with one of them, it'd be like, what are you facing any problems right now? Are you having challenges anywhere? Like, that'd kind of be the conversation versus now Jerry goes into the software and he can see exactly based off of client health scores where there needs to be improvement, and then go and Jerry will get the message at 9 p.m. on Sunday. Monday, they'll have meetings. They'll go over all of that and what they need to implement this week. Friday, they have a meeting. Did you implement this week? Did you implement all of it? Yes or no? And if not, why didn't you? Really, it just gives a lot of clarity. And I read this book. I highly recommend this book, Austin. I think you would just like blow through it. It's called Ready, Fire, Aim. And so this guy scaled many, many businesses to multiple hundreds of millions, but he works through businesses and like what the challenges you face in different levels. It's spot on 0 to 10 million, 10 to 30 million, 30 to 100 million, like the different problems you have and the solutions that you need to have in these certain revenue ranges. And like there can be some carryover. For, you might be already facing like a 10 to 30 million problem at like 8 million or something like that, right? Like it's going to stray a little bit. But Bodie doesn't read. You can get Bodie to sit down and focus on a task like that, and Bodie read the book. Bodie read the whole book, so if that tells you something, it's really good. It came highly recommended to me, and honestly, probably one of the best books on business I've ever read, and it's one that I will read many times over.
So you mentioned something earlier. What time do you need to wrap this up? It's 8 or 10 after here.
In the next like 10 to 15 minutes is fine.
All right, let's wrap it up with this topic here. You mentioned Hormozi is going, 90% of home service businesses are the ones paying. That's what he's investing in, or we're making an assumption that he's seeing some sort of data to support, his investing strategy towards that. Curious to hear why you think he has invested in school and why he's investing time and effort to help grow that. What's the play there?
It's a really good question, because that was a really important investment that he made, because he doesn't put his face behind anything. He has a quote. It's like, you only have so many bullets you can fire or something like that, right? You can only put your face behind so many things before you like burn out your audience or something like that.
Yeah.
Man, it's a tough one, because software is like, we have one and it's small. It's a little bit out of my realm. It's a whole different world than a service-based business. It was definitely a little different. He scaled his own software before it was called Allen to like 2 million a month or so. But it's a little bit out of his world, because he's really good with service-based businesses. Like, that's like where he comes from. It's what he did. And like, that's why I think he likes home services. School's a tough one. Man, I don't have like a great answer of like why I think that he did it. I don't know. I don't have a good, like, I'm gonna have to sit on that one for a little bit, honestly, and think about it. And yeah, I don't know. I think maybe at that point when he made the investment, he was kind of like a make money online kind of guy, right? And school is kind of for that. It's like a make money online place, subscription groups, things like that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. Do you have a thought on it?
I do have some thoughts. I don't know, like they're just opinions right now, and they're just thoughts. But I am seeing more people in home service basically share the playbooks for their specific industry. Like, there's a plumbing guy who's just blown up on there. There's cleaning guys all over the place. But what was the one I saw the other day that was really interesting?
There's a poop scoop one. There's a big
there's a
group on there.
Yeah, there is that. Gosh, it was a guy who'd actually built a business in a specific industry and just documented his process the whole way through. And then, rather than going through the whole franchise or licensing, whatever it is, just documenting the process and then helping other people start. And so I am seeing a trend there. So there's a big piece of me that wonders, not only from a business model perspective, but as I've started to create more trainings inside of school, like, I'm almost wondering if that, because it's set up so well for people to learn in an online format. And so, I mean, think about it this way. And I know you're not in the heavy equipment stuff, but like, one thing I've been thinking through is like, how do we actually train guys to operate well? So I have my best operator on our team. Like, if I could replicate his brain into everybody else, we could dominate the whole world. You know what I mean? Like that's, I truly believe that, because this one guy is incredible. But it's like, how do you get the information out of his brain? And equipment's challenging, right? Because like, it's not like you can just go sit in the equipment with another dude, like,
Yeah.
you're not doing that, right? So you're just like sitting and watching, and then you're critiquing. But like, how could you get a training video, from GoPros into like some sort of like checklist format? Hey, when you hop in this skid steer with the mulching, here's how you start it up. Here's some things that you need to think about. Here's best operating practices. And then you can like take them through a checklist. And the thing I love about school is you can see when people watch it.
Mm-hmm.
You can see when they have completed this stuff. So even from an internal onboarding perspective, I was thinking about it the other day. I'm like, you could almost just pay the $99 for a school account and just document everything internally for your team, and then have all your employees come in, and then they have their specific classrooms that they have to check off for training. And so, like, I know nobody's talked about that. Hormozy hasn't mentioned that, but it
that makes a lot of sense.
Day. Like, man, this could be literally just like this is the school, right? Like, this is where you come. Big companies all the time build their own internal schools or training programs or universities that they call it, right? So it's like, okay, come to Bear Claw you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, here's exactly what you need to go through to get onboarded to our company. And you have to complete these 4 to 5 training courses before you ever get in a piece of equipment so that you are properly trained.
Wow, that's a whole different target market that I don't think they're going after either, because that makes a ton of sense. And actually, it might be something that I like do immediately, because I'm always like, I'm like, all right, well, these people need these resources and they need this information, but I don't know where to keep all these like SOPs or like whatever they need. Like, I don't know where to store it all. And I think everybody runs into that problem. And there's like talent, like learning management systems and things like that, but they're not quite exactly like what I would want either. And school is built like for coursework and community at the same time. And I feel like that might make a lot of sense to store all of your trainings in there to be worked through versus anywhere else. I didn't look at it for that use case at all until you mentioned that, but I think that's like makes a lot of sense. I think that's really good.
And I mean, think about all these tools that we use, like Slack. Like the communication's nowhere close to Slack because you can't separate on threads right now. But I mean, for a basic blue collar business where you just need one communication platform, where it's like, here's your training, here's your communication, here's where you access all of the documents, because it's very well laid out where you can attach resources. So you can easily just attach Google Docs, you can attach Google Sheets for each specific role. You could literally create like a training course specific to each role. And it's like, this is just where all your stuff lives. If you have a question about it, me as the process creator or the owner, like who created this right here, or whoever did, right? Whoever owns that and does the training process, it's like, you just have them access the person training on video right there. So if you ever have a question, you just go reference this one. Anyways, there's too many thoughts, too many ideas.
Yeah, but that's like what you're sharing is like in that Ready Fire Aim book, this is like the 10 to $30 million range. And like a lot of the stuff we're talking about is like the problems he talks about you have to solve in that range. And one, he talks about you need dashboards for everything, meaning you need good data, right, in order to get to that next level. And then people issues start becoming a problem, which is the quality assurance that we talked about. And like another thing of quality assurance is the school group. Now you can see if people watch the video, if they went through it, you can probably ask questions in there, I'm guessing, as well. But like those three things are like kind of like some of the lessons you learned in that like 10 to $30 million range of that book. And those are all the things because like you might even start solving those problems before you're at the $10 million mark. Right. But really just again, like a recommendation that, but I think I'm going to reread it. I'm going to do it tomorrow. I might start reading it tomorrow. Super valuable.
I just ordered it while you were talking about it earlier on Amazon over here.
Yep.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up. We have any questions in the chat? Anybody here? I saw Jesse said good morning from YouTube. X has been weird on live stream. It's like sometimes it connects and sometimes it doesn't to this restream platform. So if any of you are joining on X and you got questions, feel free to post it. We'll stay on for a couple more minutes here.
Yeah, the company internal AIs are going to be interesting. Because like with that company, because like the way it's been previously is like it's kind of static and you have to keep uploading stuff to it unless you like hire someone who's really talented to build you this ongoing system that's trained on it, which I know someone who does that, but it's like $20-some thousand a month. That's not realistic for most people to do at this point. But like that company knowledge aspect in ChatGPT, if you store all of your SOPs in Google Drive, and now it can reference the SOPs when somebody comes in and asks a question, it's really, really nice because you don't have to like formally upload them to a custom GPT, do all this stuff. You just make the document as you would. You save it in Google Drive. Now you don't even necessarily have to make your own company. Like you don't have to pay somebody to make your own company's internal AI. It just exists in GPT. Do you give your employees that are like office and stuff like that, like, do they have GPT subscriptions?
Yeah. There are a couple things that everybody on all my teams have is GPT and Loom. I'm just not a big meeting guy. Like, I don't know if I ever will be. I kind of toy back and forth between like, is this an area that I just need to improve on as an entrepreneur and become a better manager? But like, I just love living in the maker mode.
Yeah, that's what me too.
Yeah, I love being there.
I'm not a manager of people. I was actually just talking about this last night with somebody, and I said what I realized about myself is like I need like Bodie and Jerry and like maybe 2 or 3 other people as things expand. Where like I learned this at a mastermind 2 weeks ago. I'll wrap this up quick so we can get off. But he said there's 3 types of employees. There's stallions, camels, and donkeys. Stallions are the people who you can talk about something and they'll just go implement it. They'll go build the software on their own. They'll got it. Like they really know. Those are stallions, which I guess people call like A players. Very rare, hard to find, need equity. You know what I mean? Like typically can start their own thing. And then there's camels, and camels can work all day long and work really, really hard, but you have to lead them. You have to lead them and tell them what to do, and they'll do it, and they'll do it just fine. But you got to give direction. And there's donkeys who are just like don't do anything at all, but like hee haw, and like you could kill a donkey and you don't even know the donkey's here or not. You know what I mean? So those are like the employees that that you fire. But now I forget where I was even going to go. I went off on that tangent. Now I forget where I was even going to go with that. Oh yes, like operator, manager, or whatever. Yeah, I like to live in the future. I think I'm not very present as a person. My wife will tell you that, but
Same.
I like to live in the future. Like I like to live in the future. I do. But I can't manage people. I don't like having hard conversations with people. I don't want to do that kind of thing. It's just not like my personality, really. I'm more of the vision, like the visionary who like, sets the plan and then communicates it to your top people, then have them go manage people to make sure it's being done properly. Really. I think that's kind of what you were saying too.
Yeah, that's how I'm naturally wired. I think in this phase of business right now, and I guess one could argue that I need to do a better job recruiting and finding that sidekick person, just from like a pure operations perspective, right? Like there are multiple people who I work with on a day-to-day basis in the different businesses that sort of like take ownership over that role. But like I'm involved with several things right now, and I consistently am just like, man, I'm getting bogged down with so many, even as simple as just like it's crazy. It's like you build the little questions of like, hey, I need access to this. And it's like, well, I haven't even created a process for the VA yet to like get for the VA to have access to what I have access to give the other person access to stuff. You know what I mean? And that's where it's just super like, like it just drag. It's not and I try to explain this to my wife. I'm like, it's not the 3 minutes that it takes you to do that. It's the fact that it took me 3 minutes to switch my head from future mode and planning mode and strategy and vision mode to actually going and taking the 3 minutes, then the time that it takes to like get back into that flow state. I'll literally like walk into the kitchen, like when I'm still in flow state, right? Because I'm still thinking and strategizing. So like I'll put in like a 4 or 5 hour work session in the morning, super early. Then when my kids get up, I'll go say good morning. And then I'll like go take a shower. But when I'm in the shower, I'm thinking and I'm planning for the next work session, right? So as I'm like coming out of the shower or whatever, got dressed, go back to the kitchen, my wife will like ask me something. And I'm so notorious for just like it just like I just don't hear it. So finally, like sometimes she'll be like, where's your head at right now? And so like we've had to have those conversations internally, like, hey, if you see me in the morning and it's during the workday and like I look like I have a blank stare on my face, it's because I'm in a complete other world. And I'm already strategizing for my next work session for how I can be the most efficient.
Yeah,
right?
and don't interrupt this special moment where I'm at in my brain right now.
No, she knows that about me. I love my wife and she's great. She's like, we figured out how to work together. But in the beginning, she's like, are you not hearing anything I say? And I'm like, what? Like it just takes me a moment to shift. So it's two different headspaces, right? Like operator, when I'm in operator mode, it's like I'm cranking calls all the time. He knows like running that stuff. But then when I'm in maker mode, I just shut everything off. It's like I got to build this thing and I got to think through this process. I need complete focus, no distractions.
Yep. The worst thing for me is a meeting on my calendar for the day. One meeting just ruins my whole day. I feel like it's just like I can't enter that flow state that I want to get into because I know it's going to get disrupted at some point, and I'm going to have to prepare for that meeting and whatnot. And it just like when I sit down and I see an open calendar on the day, I'm like, we're making progress today. Like we're like, this is going to be a good day.
Absolutely. I'm with you on that. Well, look, let's get to the rest of the day here. Thanks again for making time. Listeners, thanks again for tuning in to another live stream here. Andy and I do these every other week, kind of as a loosely held schedule. He's got other commitments, I've got other commitments, but we have it on our schedules to do these every other week and talk just with the general topic of like home service, blue collar, SEO. Today we talked AI, but it all relates, right? So if you have any questions specific to SEO, Google Business, Andy's a wizard when it comes to AI. Bring your questions every other Friday. Right now we've got it at 7 a.m. Mountain Time. That would be what, 9 a.m. Eastern?
Yep.
Do you want to keep that schedule or do you want to move it back?
Yeah, if we could, that'd be great.
Great with me.
I finish my workout and then get showered up and get right on here. It's perfect.
Perfect. All right. Well, cool. Well, join us every other Friday. Right now it's October 24th, time of recording this. You can join us live on either of the YouTube channels here. Thanks again for joining, Andy.
Yep. Thank you.